If your USCIS case feels like it's taking forever right now, new government data confirms it's not just you. Processing across the entire agency has slowed down dramatically, and for some case types, the odds of approval have actually gotten worse. Welcome back to US Visa News Hub. I'm Mr. Burhan, and if you're not subscribed yet, this is exactly the kind of update you don't want to miss. This video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Please consult a licensed immigration attorney for guidance specific to your situation. Let's start with the headline numbers, because they paint a pretty stark picture. The American Immigration Council's USCIS filing trends dashboard shows that between the first quarter of fiscal year 2025 and the first quarter of fiscal year 2026, meaning October through December of each respective year, the number of pending cases at USCIS increased by more than 1.6 million, rising from 9.7 million to 11.3 million applications and petitions. That's a 16.5% jump in the backlog in just 1 year. At the same time, USCIS actually processed far fewer cases. In that same first quarter of fiscal year 2026, the agency received 33.6% fewer applications than the year before, but completed 40.8% fewer cases, meaning the drop in completions outpaced the drop in new filings, which is exactly the combination that causes a backlog to keep growing even when fewer new applications are coming in the door. This video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Please consult a licensed immigration attorney for guidance specific to your case. To put some more specific numbers on this, USCIS completed just 1.8 million cases during that first quarter of fiscal year 2026, a 41% decrease from the same quarter 1 year earlier, and a 28% decrease from the previous quarter. By the end of that quarter, the net backlog, meaning cases genuinely within the government's control to act on, not simply waiting on external factors, totaled 6.3 million, compared to less than 4.3 million at the same point the year before. And based on updated data through April 2026, the average backlog clearance time has nearly doubled, now sitting at roughly 18.6 months. Naturalization specifically has been hit hard. In April 2026 alone, USCIS completed only 27,569 naturalization applications. And more broadly, across form types, the number of cases pending for over 6 months has ballooned to 5.4 million as of April 2026, compared to 3.6 million pending that long just 1 year earlier. Now, slower processing is one part of this story, but there's a second, arguably more concerning trend showing up in this data. Denial rates are climbing across several major categories, not just processing times. According to the Council's dashboard, published in May 2026, covering fiscal year 2025 trends, denial rates climbed across nearly every major form type between the first and fourth quarters of that fiscal year, with some categories more than tripling. One of the most dramatic examples involves Form I-914, the application for T non-immigrant status, the visa specifically designed for victims of severe human trafficking. The denial rate for that form jumped from 20.1% in the first quarter of fiscal year 2025 to 74.1% by the fourth quarter, meaning roughly 3 out of every 4 T visa applications decided in that final quarter were denied. That's an enormous shift for a humanitarian protection category that exists specifically to help trafficking survivors. Family-based petitions have also seen real movement in the wrong direction. Form I-130, petitions for family members outside the immediate relative category, think siblings, married adult children, and similar relationships, saw denial rates climb from 28.4% to 41.6% over that same period, meaning almost 2 out of every 5 of these family petitions were being denied by the end of the fiscal year. On the employment-based side, the picture is more mixed, but still shows real strain. USCIS's own released data for the first quarter of fiscal year 2026 showed declining approval rates, specifically for the O1A non-immigrant visa, which covers individuals of extraordinary ability, and for the EB1A immigrant petition, which is the green card category for that same extraordinary ability standard. Interestingly, the EB2 national interest waiver category showed a modest uptick in approvals during that same quarter, suggesting the slowdown and increased scrutiny isn't hitting every employment-based category in exactly the same way. Some are seeing real declines, while others have held relatively steady or even improved slightly. Humanitarian and trafficking-related categories more broadly show some of the starkest processing time increases in the data. Form I-730, the asylee relative petition, had a median processing time of 10.9 months at the end of fiscal year 2025. By April 30th, 2026, that median had climbed to 18.5 months, nearly double. Form I-914 itself, beyond just the denial rate spike we already discussed, also saw its median processing time increase from 20.8 months to 28.2 months over that same window. It's worth stepping back and looking at the bigger historical picture here too, because this isn't a one-quarter blip, it's part of a longer trend that's been building for years. According to the Council's broader historical analysis, the total USCIS backlog has more than tripled over the past decade, growing from 3.5 million pending cases in the first quarter of fiscal year 2016 to a peak of 11.6 million by the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2025. The Council's data shows completions began falling behind new filings as far back as 2020 and 2021, during the pandemic and a period of policy changes that limited the agency's processing capacity, and the backlog has continued climbing in the years since, including an additional 2 million cases added during 2025 alone. So, what does all of this actually mean for you if you have a case sitting with USCIS right now, or if you're planning to file soon? First, and most importantly, longer waits are now the reasonable expectation across most categories, not the exception. If your case is taking longer than older estimates suggested, that's consistent with what this data is showing across the board, not necessarily a sign that something has gone wrong with your specific case. Second, given the rising denial rates in several categories, especially humanitarian categories like T visas and extended family petitions, the quality and completeness of your initial filing matters more than ever. This connects directly to something else we've covered on this channel recently. USCIS's new policy, effective August 5, 2026, that allows officers to deny incomplete applications outright without first issuing a request for evidence. Combine that policy with what we're seeing in this processing and denial data, and the message is consistent. A well-documented, complete filing from the very start is no longer just good practice, it's increasingly necessary to avoid a denial or an extended delay. Third, if you're in a category showing a particularly sharp increase in denial rates, like T visas or extended family-based I-130 petitions, this is genuinely worth a detailed conversation with an immigration attorney before you file, or before you respond to any request from USCIS, given how much the odds appear to have shifted in some of these specific categories. Fourth, if you're planning around a specific timeline, a work permit renewal, a travel document, or any deadline-sensitive situation, build in significantly more buffer time than official processing time estimates might suggest, given how much actual processing has slowed relative to posted averages. And if premium processing is available for your specific case type, it's worth seriously considering, given how dramatically standard processing has extended for many categories. The broader takeaway here is that USCIS is currently operating with a historically large backlog, materially fewer completions relative to what's coming in, and rising denial rates in a number of significant categories. This is affecting family petitions, humanitarian protections, employment-based cases, and naturalization applications, though not uniformly across every category. If you have a case in the pipeline right now, understanding where your specific form type falls within these broader trends can help you plan more realistically and make more informed decisions with your attorney about timing and strategy. We'll continue tracking this data as the American Immigration Council and USCIS release updated figures for later quarters of fiscal year 2026. If this was helpful, share it with anyone you know currently waiting on a USCIS case, and subscribe to US Visa News Hub so you don't miss the next data update. Thank you for watching. This video is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Please consult a licensed immigration attorney for guidance specific to your situation.